Hello, hello. As always, I'm doing readings. Info in the description to book a reading with me. Love doing readings. Come get a reading. Yeah, very fun. But where to begin? I think a couple things. One, I think we haven't covered the great positives that have been going on over the course of really the last several weeks with the grand air trine of Mars in Gemini, Saturn in Aquarius, Sun in Libra, Venus in Libra, and now Mercury in Libra as well. We'll cover that. Put that to the side for a moment. I think first, though, it's really good to know that the maelstrom of overthinking that was going on with Mercury retrograde in September is coming to a close. We're in the post-retrograde shadow period for basically another 4 days or so. So this is good. We're almost out of it. To be fair, this has been particularly rough on the mutable signs. So some people have been totally okay with this, and that's awesome for you. I'm very happy for you. Mutable signs, Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo, and Pisces have been going through a rough time of it. And feel free to vent, as always, in the comments if it's been really frustrating for you, as well as maybe positives that you've gained from it as well. I think it's been particularly difficult for mutable signs, for Gemini and Virgo being ruled by Mercury, even more so. And of course, even if you have a fixed or a cardinal sign, you could have a mutable Mercury or mutable Venus or something. So this ultimately is going to affect everybody, but certain people are going to would have been hit pretty particularly hard over the course of September, myself especially. So as per the overthinking, all that stuff, it's really have come to a close, or it's in the very last waning periods of it, so that's really good. And I think a great positive of it is there was so much overthinking during that time period that now my brain is on swole. There's so much energy to be able to focus and move forward with things. So there is always a positive that's really important to look for in any situation, and not just play the victim, because that doesn't help us. It doesn't help us grow at all. If anything, it makes things even more challenging. And we miss out on the blessings, the silver linings. So again, it's good to validate, but let's always look for the positive. But one last thing about the validation part of all of this is, again, we are in the last about 4 days of it. So that's nice. When things are really sailing ahead. Honestly, I think at this point things are majorly sailing ahead because Mercury has gone back into Libra, but we still are in that post-retrograde shadow period. So another 4 days of patience, delays happening, misunderstandings may be happening. Not quite time to move forward with your goals yet, not quite time to move forward with that conversation that's necessary to move things forward, or whatever it might be. That's good to keep in mind. And it's nice to know that we're on our way out of that time period. Again, some things are just rough, but it's okay. There's always positives. On the super plus side, this grand air trine is awesome for being able to communicate with other people. Sun and Venus are conjunct in Libra. We've covered that a bit. As per connecting one-on-one with people, focusing on our relationships. And I think that for all of us, bringing in that Mars and Gemini and Saturn and Aquarius elements to this, there's so many ideas hatching at this time, so much brainstorming possible, that we really need other people to be able to take to that next level. That's really good in general. Collaborative thought is always going to have major breakthroughs and ideas that just don't come from one person thinking on their own. And I do want to say that, of course, it's important to focus on one's own individual thought independently. And there's great things that can come from that. But the energy for this season is more so collaborative. It's more so connecting with other people. It's more so sharing ideas of, oh, this is what I've thought. This is what I've developed, etc. What do you have? Oh, cool. And then building a long-term, this is where Saturn and Aquarius then adds to the mix. Building on that to have major visions for the future, major ideas that are mutually beneficial, that are beneficial for society in general, for the collective of humanity in general. There's a lot of really good potential here. So it's a really great time to reach out to make those communicative first steps for other people to then meet you on, and to bond new relationships. Mercury entering Libra is helping a lot to be able to move forward from where we were. Mercury Virgo was awesome for what it offered us, but Mercury entering Libra along with all the other Libra, it's just, we're moving forward. It's inevitable. And again, I think the thing here is just communicate with other people. I think one thing that's got to keep in mind with any grand trine is to know that things flow so quickly that it can be even challenging. So the flow here is saying things without necessarily thinking about them or arguing with people. Mercury in Libra, on the one hand, doesn't like to argue. It's more focused on truth, peace, on the better part of its spectrum. Truth, peace, collaborative, communication, etc. On the unconscious side, especially fueled by the other air energies, in particular Mars and Gemini, it can very much turn into arguments very quickly. So I think the key is just to listen as much as you speak, really. It's not hard to avoid this challenge at this time, but I think there's one last thing is what can be challenging is because Mars and Neptune are square each other, it can be challenging that, how do I put this? We can want to argue with other people because we're frustrated about this part of our life. This part of our life is murky. We're not quite sure if this is moving forward. We're not, it's not moving fast enough for our liking. We're doubting it. We're doubting ourselves. All of this is very possible with Mars and Neptune being square. Or maybe we're getting some random negative vibes from people. People are angry at us for no good reason. So then we're like, what do I do with this? I'm going to be angry at other people for no good reason. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, no. Breathe, meditate, relax, get in your body, exercise, go for a walk. Don't just focus on the mind at this time, because with the grand trine, it's like we got so much air energy to work with, we can get a little caught up in it, and too much of anything is not a good thing. Too much of any good thing is not a good thing. So we want to stay balanced, and then we can have all the goodness and we don't suffer as a result, or no other people don't suffer. So and I think if you just stay clear too about like, okay, I just got to be patient with this thing. This seems like the right thing to me. This makes sense to me. It's working out in the long run. I just got to keep at it. And also I just got to have faith too. I got to keep plugging away at whatever it is. That's really important too, to keep in mind during this time, because Jupiter's a part of this equation as well, with it being opposite Mercury as well as opposite Sun and Venus, but it's retrograde. So we are making, it's really important, and I've had to remind myself this, and I've had a really good friend remind me this too in the last couple hours, is don't be too hard on yourself, because we are making progress at this time, as long as we're avidly seeking to make progress with something that is the right idea for our lives. We are making progress. It's just not necessarily showing right away. So invest in your future, invest in the long term, and you'll be making the most of this time. And one last thing I want to say is, with this networking for other people, there is a certain element of a lot of it bearing fruit over time, because Saturn's involved with the trine energy, and because Mars will go retrograde in the beginning of November. So right now there's a lot of like feelers. People are seeing like, oh, maybe this, maybe that's the idea, maybe this person, etc. It's going to be more so with the Scorpio season coming up, where we get really deep and focus on, okay, this person I want to work with, and we're going to do this project at this time period, etc. And a lot of it is also when January comes around, after the Jupiter retrograde period, when Jupiter goes back into Aries, when we will be moving forward in very tangible, material ways. As always, I'm doing readings. Come get a reading. Come get a reading. Infinite love to you, my friends. Namaste. Peace. And I just want to say thank you for all the positive vibes, for the music I put out. That was really, really cool. That was very heartwarming. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. And as always, I'm updating the Patreon. I have 30 audio tracks now. All sorts of music, all sorts of demos, stuff that I'm working on, drums, singing, guitar, bass. It's all there. And it's all just continuing to grow. So in the future, there's going to be a lot of even more stuff there. And there's also 11 videos up. There's going to be even more on the way. So a lot of good stuff coming. And the Patreon link for my Patreon is in the description of this video as well. Peace.